Today for lesson 32, we're going to be solving systems of inequalities by graphing. If you're in class, we did this with the graphing calculators, but obviously you're watching this because you don't have a graphing calculator, or you're at home, or you missed the lesson. Alright, so our goal today is to solve a system of inequalities. I'm talking here specifically about about objective standard 2. Alright. We're going to be solving systems of equations and inequalities. We've already done equations. Alright, and we're going to be doing this by graphing. Okay, here are the basic directions typed out for you. I'm going to demonstrate these directions to you right now. Okay, here we have two equations. Equation number 1, I've got x minus y is less than equal to 2. Okay, let's just do this and put this into our slope-intercept form. So step 1, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. That means I'm going to take and subtract it off the front side, and subtracting it from the back side will give me a negative x, and the 2 is a positive 2. Now I need to make this a positive y rather than a negative y, so I'm going to multiply the entire equation by negative 1. And remember, doing this, you're going to have to remember to flip your sign over. So negative 1 times negative y is y. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x. And negative 1 times a positive 2 is negative 2. And now I'll flip the sign over. You can see we have a y-intercept of negative 2. So I go on my y-axis down to negative 2 and place my first dot. I have a slope, in this case, of 1, since the coefficient of x is 1. Alright, so that means I need to go up 1 and over 1 and place my first dot. Now we can do this, do as many dots as you need, just keep this pattern going. So, another one, and however many dots you know are necessary. Okay, now remember some of the basic rules, that if you have the less than or the greater than sign, that means that you're going to be using a dashed line. If you have the greater than equal, less than equal, you would use a solid line. So now then, this is going to be, because I have the less than equal, this is going to be a solid line. So I'm going to draw a solid line going all the way across that graph. Let's start here, go there. Now, when you're graphing these, the next thing you need to decide is which region the solutions are going to be in. We want to try a point in from the graph on either side of the line, because it's either going to be above this line, okay, or it's going to be below the line that we're going to be graphing. Get these marks out. Okay, the easiest point to try in is always the origin if it's not on the line itself. So when I'm trying the origin in, I want to take it and I want to put it back into the original equation. X is 0, y is 0. So what I have here is 0 minus 0 is less than equal to 2. That's a true statement. So we can see that this origin is included in the solution set for this one. Okay, so we would go through now and we'd shade in the origin for this one. Up here, this entire half is where your solutions lie. Okay. Alright, next let's take a look at our second equation here. In our second equation, I can see that I've got, let's put these up here, x minus 2y is greater than or equal to 1. Let's once again move my x to the back part. Okay, subtract x from the front, that's negative 2y, is greater than or equal to a negative x, and then 1 is positive, so that's plus 1. Now I'm going to go through and I'll divide everything by this negative 2, the entire equation, and that's going to leave me with negative 2, and that's going to be a y. I'll flip my sign. Okay, negative x divided by negative 2 is a positive 1/2 x. That means my slope is 1/2. And 1 divided by negative 2 is a negative 1/2. Now to graph that, my y-intercept is negative 1/2. So that's going to be right about here on my graph. My slope is 1/2. So once again, I will go up 1, and this time I'm going to go over 2. Alright? Okay. Up 1 and over 2. Up 1 and over 2. pause this because I've made a mistake, and I just now realized what my mistake is. My mistake is when I was transcribing from this equation to this equation, my plus accidentally became a minus. That will change that to a plus, which will change that to a plus, which changes that to a plus, which makes this a negative x divided by positive 2 becomes a negative 1/2, and that's a plus. That's going to change how I graph this one. Apologize for that. Back there. Okay, back in my shading. Alright, now we're ready to graph that one. Okay, my y-intercept is positive 1/2, and my slope is negative 1/2. It means I will go down 1 and over 2, and this is my next point right there. And I'll keep doing that down 1 over 2. Did it again. Ignore, reverse. I don't have a backup button on this. There. Down 1. And since it's a negative slope, it's going to be right here. Down 1 over 2. Alright, you can also go up 1 and left 2. As long as my points are all in line, we're just fine. Now we'll get a line there, and because this is that symbol, the greater than equal, we need to flip it though, like we did over here. Okay, so we're using the less than equal. It's going to be a solid line once again. Okay, so let's get this solid line over here. And once again, since this one does not go through the origin, I can try the origin in. Remember, the coordinates for the origin are 0, 0. So when I put a 0 in for x, let me clear this equation back out here. Okay, goes out of the way. Place a 0 for x, and 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 0 is greater than or equal to 1. That's a false statement. So the origin right here is not included in the graph. So it must be for this one up above. In other words, it's going to be above the green line for this one. Okay, now you can see, it's kind of hard to see there with choosing that color, but the points that overlap are the points that I'm putting in green right now. Okay, so this little region right here is actually the solution to that system of equations, or solution to the system of inequalities. Alright, and there you go. Let's get rid of this other mess over here because we don't really need it any longer. The yellow is not necessary because it's not a solution to the system. And that's what the graph looks like. That's all I've got for today. We'll see you again.